Hello guys, today we'll be looking at OOP in Python. Now the meaning of OOP means object-oriented programming in Python. Now what does this talk about? Now this talks about here the OOP, which is the oriented programming, enables a programmer to capture real-life objects in programming. Okay, real-life objects in terms of the dog, house, objects. So now there are some certain things we need to know in Python for we to create an object using OOP. Now, the first thing we are going to look at now is the class. Now, the class is the blueprint of an object. Okay, then the attributes are the function, the properties of an object. An example now, which we are going to look at, is we say to create a class, we start with class, and let's say we want to create a dog in programming. Okay, so we want to capture dog as an object in real life into programming. That's what OOP helps us do. Okay, so I say class dog. We have created a class. Now I said it's the blueprint of the object. Then what we're going to use now, we're going to say df, that's the definition, and we are going to use the initializer or constructor. We call it the initializer or the constructor. Then inside we say self, comma, the breed of the dog, the color, and the age. So we'll do this now. So now these are going to be the attributes. So I'll say self dot breed is equal to the breed, then self dot color is equal to color, then self dot age is equal to the age. Okay, so this is the class, the df definition, initializer. Initializer helps us to create these attributes. So this is the properties that behold the dog. Okay, then we create objects. Okay, so to do that now we want to create the object. So to create the object, say I'll give it a variable called my dog is equal to, I call the name of the class dog and I pass in the breed. Okay, so I can say I call the breed, call it Nikita, give brown, that's the color, and the age, let's give it 3 years. Okay, 3 years. So when I do this now, okay, so I'm passing them in form of a string. So when we run this now, we have created an object, a class, and attributes. All right, that's what we did just now. Now if we want to access these attributes now, to access it now, we can perform it in different ways. All right, but before we go into accessing an attribute, what are attributes? Like I said, the attributes are the properties or the features that a particular object possesses. Okay, and we have types of attributes. We have the class attributes, and we have the instance attributes. The instance attributes. So now we are going to create an instance attribute and a class attribute using the previous object we created. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this information, copy, I'll paste it here. Now in between the class and the initializer, that's the definition, I'm going to write a new set of properties. So I'll give it leg for the tail 1, the ears the eyes, sorry, 2. Okay, so now what we have done now is that we have created a class function and an instance function. Now, a class function now talks about class attribute, sorry, means that it's the only feature that a particular class possesses. Okay, while the instance talk about so the instance attribute is the attribute that is inside the constructor or initializer, while the class attribute is outside the initializer, that is the constructor here. Okay, so the class now is only singular to the particular class, while the instance are shared between both classes. Okay, that's the difference. If I run it now, you see it's not going to give us an outcome because why? We have not accessed the information. Now, to access now, let's access this information one by one. Okay, if we want to access for the breed or we want to access for the leg, I'll say my dog dot the leg. Remember leg, and I run it, it's going to give me 4. You see, when I call the attribute, it's going to give me the value. All right, then the same thing, if you want to get for the age, you can say my dog dot age, and I run this now. Our dog is 3 years old. All right, so one more, we want to check how many, what's the color. So I'll say my dog dot color, and if I run this now, it's going to give me brown. All right, so that's how to call access each of the attributes present in our class. Okay, that's how to do that. Now let's say we want to add the next one. We want to add a method. Now the method now is the functionality of our class. Now to do that, now we can say I'll copy this information. I'll copy this, copy, and I paste this here. Okay, now under between my object and the attributes, instance attributes, I'm going to write df, that is going to be the method. So I'm going to write back because the dog can back. So back, I'm going to open bracket self. So self is the one responsible for creating this information. So say back self, then I write the function. So give it woof. Okay, so that's the function. So now we have created a method. A method, yes, a method. That's the functionality of the object. So now when I run it now, we're not going to get an output. Why? Because we have not called the function. So to get the function now, I'm going to add here. Then I'm going to say my dog dot back. Okay, my dog dot back. When I run this now, you see it's giving us the outcome. So it's calling out the function woof. Okay, that is the function. Okay, we have done the class, attribute, object, and now the method. Now let's go into another concept which we call the class inheritance. So the class inheritance talks about a child class being able to inherit the properties of a parent class. Okay, the same way we inherit certain traits and characteristics from our parents. Also in programming, we also have what we call class inheritance. So now I want to create another a child dog from the parent. So I'll say class dog 1, that's the child, and dog, which is the parent. Okay, now I say df, remember double underscore the initializer, please, that's the double underscore initializer, then the self okay, comma, the breed, then the color, the age, and one more. Let's say we want the dog to have the ears. So have it in mind, the parent does not have ears, but the child is going to have ears. Okay, so I use the super function now to call out the previous attributes that the parent has. Okay, so super, open bracket, close bracket, dot, then double underscore, initializer, say I, then the breed, comma, the color, comma, the age, see, and that's all. So now we're only going to just create self dots ears because having ears. All right. So to do that now, I'm going to say new dog is equals to dog 1. Remember, open bracket, I passed in the information. Okay, the breed, this time around we're going to give it German Shepherd. So please have it in mind that we're using this as a object. Okay, dog, okay, German Shepherd, or let's call it German, then comma, black, then comma, remember to close the double quotient, then the color, then the age 3. Now we can also add the ears, which is 2. So please make them in form of a string. So do that now, and I close this. When I run it now, okay, invalid syntax. Okay, I'll remove this semicolon here, and if I run this again, okay, now string integer, okay, object has no attributes of, and okay, I forgot to close the double, I forgot to put the double underscore, that's why. So please ensure you put the double underscore. If I run this now, we have this now. It's not going to show us any information because we have not accessed the attributes. So I can say new dog dot ears, and if I run this now, we have 2 ears. The same way, if we run one more and we say new dog dot, I want to know the color, we say color, and if we run this now, black. So we have come to the end of the class. I hope we were able to understand OOP, object oriented programming, using the object dog.